think here. I'm obviously still in Australia, but I'm here today to actually go live on the morning or first morning of the test at Lords. Of course, this is the second test. Australia has already won the first test, which is quite brilliant. And we're looking at a situation where, effectively, we're looking at, civil centre, there we go. We're looking at a situation where Australia have basically really, they're in the driver's seat, which they probably should not have been at this point in time, but they are. They're actually in a great opportunity here to do really, really well. So we'll wait and see what the story is as far as the Australian side, but the team squad, let's call it, which is effectively the 11 players of the team, or the team, actually there's 12 players, the same 11 that played at Edgbaston will be in the squad, including, of course, Mitchell Stark. Excuse me. So the 11, of course, is the Australian team will be obviously Warner Khawaja with Labuschagne at 3, 4 will be Smith, followed by Travis Head at 5, Cameron Green at 6, Carey at 7, then the bowlers. Whether it's going to be Boland or Stark is the question, and then Hazelwood, Lyon, and Cummins as captain. So that will be the 11/12 squad. The England side, Moeen Ali's definitely out. The inclusion of Tongue is what they're suggesting will be the case. Whether the new young spinner Rahan comes in or not will be the point in question at this point. We don't know exactly. So, and it's a matter of Australia holding the nerve. This is their gun country. What I mean by that is, of course, gun ground, I should say. This is the ground where Australia's won, I think, some of the last 7 matches out of around 10 or thereabouts. So they've won the majority of matches on this ground. So Australia distinctly has an advantage here. So we should be able to just quickly look at the situation with the selections. We'll just quickly pull that up. I've just mentioned already the Australian 11 will probably be the same with a Boland/Stark change. That's what Cummins basically alluded to in his pre-match discussions. And England will probably are out without Moeen Ali, we know that. And they're going to be there definitely with Moeen Ali out of the side. And so here we go. So the teams have been decided, and England have won the toss and will bowl first. So England have won the toss and will bowl first. So Australia will be batting. The England side is, as I just suggested, in fact, Tongue comes in for Moeen Ali. So you've got Zach Crawley, Ben Duckett, Ollie Pope, Joe Root, Harry Brook, Ben Stokes as captain, Bairstow, Broad, or Ollie Robertson, Tongue and Anderson. So England are going in there without an actual spinner. So Moeen Ali, of course, was injured. He's not playing. I have, of course, they've got Joe Root there to bowl if they need to, of course. They've gone with an all guns blazing bowling attack of Broad, Anderson, Robertson, Tongue. Australia have actually put Mark Mitchell-Stark in place of Boland, which was the question, in fact, whether Boland or Stark. They've gone Stark. So the Australian side is Warner, Khawaja, Labuschagne, Smith, Travis Head, of course, Carey, Mitchell-Stark in for Boland, Pat Cummins, Lyon and Hazelwood. So the changes on the Australian side, Stark in there for Boland, and on the England side, Tongue has come in for Moeen Ali. Otherwise, both sides are intact. England without a specialist spinner, but they've gone to bowl first, so they don't want to bowl last on the pitch. So that means they'll be less reliant on the spin. They actually will be bowling first. So there we have it. So overcast, Richard Vernon's just said, excuse me, it's overcast on good toss to win, he's saying. Punko Gurus on Australia win the match as well. That's what's expected. You would expect Australia are meant to be winning this match, but as Richard Vernon, they're going to hold Stansted boy has actually just said that England, having won the toss, good toss to win, will bowl first. So Ben Stokes has made a comment here. I can just see. I think the overheads or over conditions has made a massive part of this. So they've actually looked at the over conditions, won the toss, and decided to bowl first to take advantage of the early wicket conditions. And look up, not down, as I think Munchie always used to say. The wickets looks like it's got plenty of grass, so hopefully we're going to exploit that this morning. So with all guns blazing, bowling attack with both, obviously, the Broad-Anderson partnership, as we know, has got some, my God, how many is it? Well over 1,300, close to 1,300 wickets, 1,200 and, what do you call that? It's probably well, close to 170, I think 1,273 was what I last saw was the amount, which is by far the best bowling combination ever. They've gone past McGrath and Warren for that record. So I think McGrath Warren were 1,271. I think this partnership are now at 1,274 or thereabouts. So that's what Ben Stokes reckons. He's all guns blazing. He's ready to go. I haven't heard anything. I think there was a comment from Cummins, but I think Cummins' comments disappeared on us. Probably rightfully so. Probably not as happy. So Australia are batting first in what will be an amazing match. And I will, just to make it clear to the viewers, I will be at the test live for the latter part of the match, probably days 3, 4 and 5. I'll be arriving in England a bit later than expected. I had a few things I had to do here. Finally sorted everything out, finally booked. I'm on my way. I'll be there for the latter part of the Lord's Test live. And of course, we'll have guests coming up during the week. David Graving, I'm hoping will be here the next day or so. But then leading into the match, we'll have Richard and Chris Vernon. We'll have Munchie online live. We'll have Adam Hollyoak on Sunday. We'll have Monty Panesar there as well. We'll have a whole lot of other guests that I'll be grabbing a hold of while I'm at the ground. So that's the plan. So yeah, I'll just make a note of that point. So we've actually got a situation where England have won the toss and have elected to bowl first, having an all fast bowler attack, or all seamer, all swing bowling attack. It's quite incredible. It's quite an incredible bowling attack, actually, to be honest with you. So there you have it. I'm just going to confirm what's going on there. We've got people are actually making comments there. It's a good cross to win. That's what we've heard there. We've got the test sides, the team selections are there, I can see. I'll save that. Everyone's carrying on about what's going on. Nearly toss time, it certainly is. So just to make this clear, we've got a situation where England have won the toss and elected to bowl first, based on what would be nothing short of a great toss to win, I'd have to say. Let's sort it out, guys. Just bear with me a moment. I just want to see if I can highlight this. I can. I'm just going to highlight this little bit of team news we've got going on there. And go to my page. If you go to my page, you'll actually see it, guys. I'm a live preview of what I'm doing. So I'm just going to pull it up right now as we speak. Sorry, guys. I'm a little bit disorganised today. I've had so much going on the last few. I've had a few hours to talk about what happened in my life. We've gone crazy there. We've got things now planned for London. Okay, so toss one. Okay, so let's have a look here. Quite incredible. The lack of change in the teams. I'm pretty impressed. Both England obviously still very confident. Ollie Robertson came out during the week and made it very, very clear that he thought his gun side were going to nail it. And you know, I wasn't really sure what he was talking about there, but anyway, he made it pretty clear. He thought he thought that Australia didn't go toe for toe with England, and I'm not sure why he would say that when Australia won. So this whole toe-to-toe garbage is just that. I mean, who cares that they go toe-to-toe in his mind? They won the match. So you can't complain about that, for God's sake. Just want to see what's going on here. It's all good. There we are. So I'm just going to upload that. You'll see. So Ben Stokes has actually made a comment, and I'll repeat it if you like. Look at the view. If you see my so-called community page, you'll see what I'm talking about. I've actually broken up there for you, just very quickly. We've got community, there we have it. So you can see that the test side's been, so again, just for those that have just joined us, the Australian side is pretty much unchanged. The only change, which was probably inevitable, was Stark in for bowler, not because bowlers didn't play well enough, but believe that Stark will do well on this pitch. Well, I think Boland would have done well as well. But as it's turned out, it may be in their favour. They're batting first, they're bowling second, so it might be more advantageous for Stark to be there for the second and fourth innings of the England match. They get England's innings, second and fourth innings, England will be batting. So Australia have gone with the same side. The only change, as I said, was the movement of I don't know what happened there. What's on there? The Australian side's there and the England side's there. Okay, so yeah, and it's interesting how Stark's come in, as I said. Well, if they've left Bowl, actually they put Bowl in the 12th. Now they've got Marcus Harris, Tom Murphy, Renshaw, Nessa still in the wings. But yeah, but the England side is the more intriguing one for me. They clearly, okay, what have we got? Our oath is best. If Australia won't bat well, then this match will end on day 4. True, very true. So England, again, Zach Crawley and Ben Duckett, Ollie Pope, Joe Root, Harry Brook, Ben Stokes as captain, then Johnny Bairstow, Stuart Broad, Ollie Robinson, Josh Tongue, who, the reason why Josh Tongue is in, I'll go through that in a minute, and James Anderson. So they have 4 bowlers there, as in Broad, Robinson, Tongue and Anderson, and Ben Stokes as well, of course, and on top of that, they've got Joe Root to bowl some spin if necessary, or some pretty ordinary Harry Brook deliveries. The reality is that England have an injury to Moeen Ali, have decided to not include another spinner, the young Rehan, and if Australia won't bat well, then that special end in day 4. I thought it, our Ruth is best amount of comment. So effectively, England have gone without the spinning of Moeen Ali, no replacement for Rehan on the side. They've decided to strengthen their bowling with Josh Tongue now. Josh Tongue has gone ahead of Mark Wood. Mark Wood must not yet be ready, otherwise he would have been selected. Josh Tongue he bowled for England against Ireland in a recent test match on this ground, Lords, and did exceptionally well, took I think a fifer. Richard Vernon arrives in London, I'm afraid he may miss the whole game. Richard Vernon's very, very cheeky. He's suggesting the game will be over by day 3 and that England will have Australia twice in the first 3 days. Well, that's, okay. This will be the first session of the day's play will be the major telling point. If England can get their act together as we expect them to do with Broad and Anderson, followed by Josh Tongue and Ollie Robinson, there's a pretty damn good quartet there. And of course Ben Stokes to lead up to the rear there as 5th bowler. They could do some damage, but if Australia get through that first session and move into the second session fairly much intact, well, it could be a different story yet again. England batting last, and of course we have the man himself, Nathan Lyon, in his 100th straight test match. 100th straight test match, a testament to his fitness, to his longevity, very impressive. Nathan Lyon could well hit his 500th test wicket in this match, which would mean, would be very embarrassing for, here we go, there's a bit of a different bloke. We've got Pat Cummins that's making comment. We'll have a look what Pat Cummins has got to say. He would have said this on the broadcast, I'm sure. Let's have a look. Oh, who else is doing that? Just pulling it up, hang on guys. So Pat Cummins has made comment, as did Ben Stokes. We would have had a bowler as well first, the pitch is obviously showing that. We just wanted some variety. We're really happy with how Scott has been going. Unfortunately, he's the one to miss out this week. But we're very excited to have someone of Starkey's class come back in, not 300 plus test wickets. And on Nathan Lyon playing his 100 consecutive tests, he says it's fantastic effort, not only in terms of his fitness, as I said earlier, but getting picked in all conditions around the world for 100 tests is phenomenal. Very lucky to have him as a captain. He's glad to have him in the team. So there we have it. So very, very astute commentary there, we'll have to say. Look at Pat Cummins' comment there. I don't know what happened with the Australian side there, but Pat Cummins made his comment. It's to me, you would have to think Australia's in the box seat, just in terms of the way that they have that hoodoo about Lords. They do very well at Lords. You'd have to think that would put them in good stead, and I kind of think that way, to be honest. Let's have a look at this one there. We've got grey skies overhead. It's been quite a good overcast set of conditions there, and you'd have to think that this is going to be, one hell of a match. I'm excited. Pity I'm not there for the first couple of days. But as Richard Vernon very cheekily said, he said that I won't be needed to watch the games because it'll be over. No, that's not true. Australia can negate the first session. That's correct. And sometimes it is very much true. Australia can negate the first session of the onslaught of four incredible bowlers, as in we know the history of Anderson and Broad. Ollie Robinson with his big mouth this time, and tongue, got a big tongue. Ollie Robinson's got a big mouth with big tongue. We're in for some trouble here. So there we have it. There's the Australian situation there. England won the toss. And they've elected to bowl first. So they won't be batting last in this situation. They will be batting last, but Australia won't be batting last. So England will be bowling first, batting second. And in the first test, of course, Australia did bat first and put on a very good score. Hence set the match up beautifully. England struggled but did a pretty good job of getting close to their score. And in turn, so Richard Vernon, Anderson, Broad, Robinson will be a real handful. Well, and don't forget, Tongue has to be included. Tongue was the outstanding person in that match at Lord's just recently. He took a 5 for, as far as I'm aware. And, of course, Broad also, I think he took a 5 for one of the innings as well. So very well served, those two. This is a great pitch to watch. A lot of pressure on Stark, because if Stark does not perform, Boland will come straight back in for the third test, you would think. So that's another little situation, in fact. So there we have it. So yeah, I'm not as convinced as others about Stark being up to it, to be honest. I think Boland would be a better served, even though Mitchell Stark's clearly done well in the number of wickets he's taken, some 300 and I think 10 or 11. So he's right up there, but I actually think that he may be past his best. And the fact that Scott Boland's on the rise, maybe they should keep him in. They might rue that decision. We'll wait and see what happens with the bowling. They may rue that decision. They may well rue that decision. So we've got some 16 minutes before the match is about to start. Any more questions, guys? You want to ask me? We have a number of people there commenting on the official launch, of course, of the World Cup. We saw that. The draw is out for October, November, the actual the Cricket World Cup, the ICC Cricket World Cup, Men's Cricket World Cup in India, with Pakistan playing in India as well, which is quite intriguing. Before that, though, before the World Cup actually takes place, you'll have a period there where the Asia Cup is on, and that'll be taking place in both Pakistan and predominantly in Sri Lanka, and India will be involved in that as well. So India, I'm not sure whether they're playing Pakistan offhand in Sri Lanka or Pakistan itself, but Pakistan is certainly playing some of their Asia Cup matches in Pakistan, and that'll be a good little precursor to the World Cup, which will follow in October, November in India. I'm going to make sure that I go to Dharamshala. That's one of the grounds you'll see me with the backdrop of the Himalayas. That'll be great. I think Australia will go up 2-0. There's too much ego to actually perhaps. Boland went at 6 and over in the last place. Facing Cummins is hard. That's what Richard Vernon, he reckons that Stark's a better proposition. Wicket taking, yes. I just think that he's lost his mojo a little bit. So I thought with Hazelwood. So I don't think Hazelwood had an outrageously good game in the first match at Edgbaston at all. I thought he was okay, but he wasn't brilliant. It really was Boland that did the job, and ultimately Lyon as well. And England, just didn't quite get there with the batting department, did they? Anyway, the reality is that Australia normally win at Lord's, some 7 or 8 out of 10. They basically have won the majority. I think was it out of 15. I can't remember now. They've won 7 or 8 matches there. So England have been very scarce with their victories at Lord's against Australia. They did beat Ireland a good month ago now on this ground with Tongue in the side and Broad as well, and they did particularly well. So I think Duckett and Pope got big runs in that match. So it looks to me it comes down to the first session here today. And if Australia can survive the first session with the overcast conditions coming down and 4 gun bowlers that can bowl swing, including Ben Stokes' 5, they really are going to, if they do well early on, that could well set the whole match up. In everyone's opinion, that would be the best way to look at it. So we've got some 13 minutes before the match play starts. I will be in England in a matter of days. Richard Vernon, I don't think Stark is better. I just think that England hit Boland out of selection. Now, Richard Verner's now suggesting that Bazball has taken a trick on bowling. I don't agree with it at all. I think bowlers still bowl pretty well. I think Stark could equally be hit out of the ground, I would argue. I think that's going to, England will win, Richard Vernon said. England, good old Banks, the boy, will be with me live in England during the next few days. We'll have him live on the show. With Adam Hollyoake on Sunday, we'll have it stay at 5. With Richard and both Chris as well, Vernon. Munchie will be on. So game over by lunch, day 4. Why? Have you got an engagement that day that you want to take place? I know your son, Chris Vernon, is actually playing on the Monday, day 6 of the Lord's Test. Chris will be playing for the MCC, Marylebone Cricket Club, on the Lord's Test pitch against the Melbourne Cricket Club. And we'll have a situation where it'll be a great gala day indeed, and Chris will be on show there. And I believe Will Pukowski's playing for the Melbourne Cricket Club side against the Marylebone Cricket Club, which is, of course, representative of Lords. So it'll be quite an incredible match. So they'll be on the day 6, which is Monday. You'll be getting some broadcast from there as well. But let's go back to this match. At this point in time, you would argue that, okay, we heard Richard Vernon say England. It's a big call to say that England will win this match. They're going to have to bowl out of their skin on day 1, because if they don't get early wickets and Australia negate or do not lose wickets during the first session and a half or thereabouts, they could then go into that 400 mode as they did in the first. Well, actually, no, sorry, I'll take that back. It was England who declared, wasn't it, on 3. England batted first, and they declared just before dinner or for the end of the day, all the subs on day 1, and put Australia, and that's right, my apologies. So England did bat first, Australia batted second, didn't get the score that England got, and then England came out and scored 274, but then lost the match with Australia getting to 80 odd to win. So this is a bit topsy. So England this time are not batting first, Australia batting first, so it puts more pressure on Australia, you would argue. If they do get through the first session, wonderful. If they don't, they'll be in a bit of trouble. Even if Australia do score big in this first innings, I think England are capable of matching them. You're right, but okay. So Richard Vernon said Aussies 5 down at lunch, long tail. Okay, Richard will hold you to that. Richard Vernon, let's everybody note that Richard Vernon has just commented that Australia will be 5 down by lunch. Let's see if that prediction is correct. 5 down at lunch. If they are, Australia 5 down at lunch, we are in a bit of trouble. But the history tells us that Australia has not lost a match here for some time against England at Lords. And as I think I heard Jeffrey Boycott earlier today talk about the fact that Australia, or any team for that matter, look forward to playing at Lords and are on song. They're on their game to actually win that match, as opposed to England perhaps aren't as much. The floodlights are on at Lords. Surely it will swing. By lunch, Australia will be 2 for 75. So Arnold says Australia will be 2 for 75, which is a pass mark. Whereas the floodlights are going on at the moment at Lords. It's dark, it will be 5 down. We'll see whether Richard's right. Come on, Marnus, it's his day. Well, he needs to be on song. He's had a pretty ordinary. There was a lot of discussion about him playing at balls he didn't need to outside off stump against Broad. So yeah, I think Warner's also somewhat vulnerable. Look, you could argue that Warner and Labuschagne may well go early, but if that also includes Khawaja, who's played out of his skin, and Smith, I don't know. You still have to consider Australia being favoured to win this match. Why? Because they haven't lost at Lords for yonks a long time, and on top of that, they've got the ascendancy of the first match. England will be having to make up some ground here, but maybe they've got the motivation to do so. We'll just wait and see. Some 9 minutes before the match is about to start. England's side, if you haven't heard yet, is as per program, meaning the same 11. The only difference is that Moeen Ali, of course, who injured his bowling finger there, his index finger, had some a bit of a callousness there, a bit of a scrape on his finger from bowling too much, basically a blister. He's not in the side. They haven't replaced him with young Rahan. They've actually placed Josh Tongue in the side, who of course did well against Ireland only recently there. Dinesh Chaudhary saying, no, you at Lords. Now, I'm not at Lord's yet. I'll be there in a matter of a few days. I had to delay my departure. Richard Vernon, grassy pitch, 5 down at lunch. Okay, Richard Vernon keeps bloody repeating that Australia will be 5 down at lunch. You better be right, because you're putting your neck out. You're sticking your neck out here, Mr. Richard Vernon. There, you're really sticking your neck out. I'll certainly be rubbing it into you when I see you in a few days' time. We are looking at down the barrel of a start in only 8 minutes' time. Floodlit ground, overcast conditions. The ball's bound to swing, yes. So I'm ready for that. I'm very, very happy with Kawaja being there, because he could well negate the bowling that will come to him. Warner's the worry. He needs to be wary that he will be under attack. O'Shane's a bit of a worry as well. Smith not as much, but I think it was one of the people there. Arnold Rudge said it was 2 for 72 at lunch. That's probably a good result for Australia. 5 down by lunch will be a disaster. Australia will be all out early today, and England will be in a form of ascendancy. It may well be over in 3 days. I bloody well hope not, because I'm going to miss it if that's the case. Yeah, so it's going to be a very, very interesting day indeed. There's no doubt about that. We all know that. We know that it will be a great day's cricket. Just saying whether we've gone. We're not yet. Yeah, we're going to preview that. There we are. All right, so some 7 minutes to go, guys, before the start of the day. We've gone through some chat messages there. I can see we've got. Any other questions, guys? Ask away. This is your time to ask questions. I'm not in the best of positions. I'm holding up a fake stand because I wasn't planning on using my laptop. Any questions, guys? So, again, I'll repeat, the England side for today's match will be both Zach Crawley with Ben Duckett opening up. Of course, you have then first drop Ollie Pope, Joe Root. Then you come into play. Well, really, the England side, almost to that point, is, it is certainly in a good starting point with that sort of batting line. Ben Stokes will then be in the side from there on. You're really looking at a pretty damn good batting lineup. As I was saying, I'll just repeat that again. Let's get this. Hang on a second. We'll go through that batting lineup for me. Okay. As I said, Crawley and Duckett will be opening up with Pope 3, Root 4. I've got Harry Brook will go ahead of Ben Stokes, of course, as captain. Bairstow, Broad, Robinson, Tongue, and then Anderson. You've got Josh Tongue, we'll call him the Tongue, and Ollie Robinson, the mouth. Looking forward to seeing Norman in the flesh next week. There'll be plenty of flesh to see, Richard Vernon, plenty of flesh to see. That's what you're talking about. Australian side, okay, back to the England side. The change is Tongue in for Ali by way of an injury. Otherwise, the same 11. So they've got a lot of confidence in that 11, haven't they? To keep them together like that and bolster by more bowling. And luckily, they won the toss, so they can elect to field or bowl, as I normally would say. Australia, again, pretty much unchanged. Warner, Kawaja, Labuschagne, followed by, of course, Steve Smith, Travis Head. Then we've got the likes of Cameron Green and Alex Carey to follow. Then the bowling, I'm going to say quartet of Stark, Cummins, Lyon and Hazelwood. 3 seamers with Lyon. And really, that's it for the bowling. We've only really got 4 bowlers. Stark, Cummins, Lyon and Hazelwood. There's not of course, Cam Green is their 5th. England, similar boat, Broad, Robertson, Tongue, Anderson, with their 4, with Stokes as their 5th. But they have a 6th bowler, genuine, good spinner, I would argue, in Joe Root. With me, Norman and Munchie, it could be a heavyweight broadcast. In terms of weight, yes. On Sunday, we'll have a probably more slender Adam Holyoake. We mustn't forget your son there, Chris, will be there as well. But he'll be there. He'll be getting ready for his Monday game, the day 6 of the Test match, where you will actually see Chris Vernon jostling with Will Bukowski, who could well have been the Australian opener had he not had 25 concussions. Or was it 26? He's had quite a few concussions, the poor lad. But yeah, the ground looks very overcast. I'm looking at it now. Looks very, very, very overcast indeed. You would argue there's a lot of pressure on Australia. But I would argue there's more pressure on England. Having lost the first Test match with their Bazball concert, Jeffrey Boycott doesn't seem to be a big fan of it. He thinks they need to not entertain, but in fact win. So he doesn't believe they should entertain, they should actually win, which is a very cheeky comment. But he didn't completely bag it, but he was a little bit scathing of the way that they play to entertain rather than play to win. And it's a fair point. It's a very fair point. Okay, we seem to be getting like 3 minutes ago. So we've got, okay, minimal amount of time now, guys. I'll try and see you later today. We'll be together tomorrow as well. And from Friday, Saturday onwards, I'll be there in Lords, talking to the crowd, talking to people outside the venue as they both come and leave. We'll get a lot of coverage, a lot of great people. We'll be at a great location. I think Chris Vernon's booked us a sumptuous place for Sunday. Like Munchie, Chris, my Anstead boy, Richard Vernon, that is. We'll have guests of Adam Hollyoak, Bonnie Panisell later on. We'll have a few other guests turning up too, by the way. That won't be the full story. So we're only 2 minutes away from play starting. You know, I've been pretty impressed with the way that Australia played their first match. England have got it all to do. You have to argue that England have got it all to do, even though they've bolstered their bowling attack to include Tongue, to make 5 seamers effectively. They are up against it somewhat. All right, so the Australian batters will be out there now. They've already had their normal ceremonies. So Australia will be batting in a matter of 2 minutes' time. Let's stop the broadcast here. I want you to go and enjoy the match. Tongue in for Ali for England. Stark in for Boland for Australia. Overcast conditions. England winning the toss and electing to bowl first, which is against what they did in the first match, where they, in fact, batted first and declared early. And they could argue that's where they lost the match. All right, guys. Any other comments? Any other final parting comments from any of you guys out there before I call it quits? I think we've got only a minute to go before the game's starting. So see you either after the game today or tomorrow. This is Norman Kochling on Eyes on Cricket, better known as Eyes on Sports, signing off for now. Join us after today's play into tomorrow, and I'm sure we'll see whether Chris Vernon's predictions of 5 down actually takes place. 5 down by lunch, interesting. I'm thinking more the 2 for 72 scenario. All of us, guys, take care, and we'll talk very soon again.